If you don't know what Eddy and Eddy is, here's a really simplified summary of the entire show. Three boys named Ed, Edd, and Eddy find creative ways to scam their cul-de-sac so they can get enough money for jawbreakers. Yeah, I guess that's all you need to know about the show. Anyway, let's get to the point of the video, which is reviewing every season 1 episode of Ed, Edd, and Eddy. I'll rank every episode using a tier list, organizing it from least favorite first to most favorite last. So let's get started with F tier, also known as the episodes in the season that really frustrates me. So there's only one episode in F tier because A Pinch to Grow in Ed bothers me like no other episode can even come close to doing so. Other hated episodes like If It Smells Like an Ed, Smell for the Ed, You're Ed Here, and more doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I think these episodes are a bit underrated. But A Pinch to Grow in Ed of all episodes just rubs me the wrong way. So basically what happens is that Eddy gets made fun of by the other kids for being short. So Double D helps him by inventing Eddy's shoes that helps him get taller. So Eddy does what everyone else would do in this situation and gets back at everyone who made fun of his height in the past. Until the Kanker sisters come in to bully Eddy and to break Double D's shoe invention. And then the episode ends on Eddy getting defeated and goes back to being short. What? What kind of resolution is that? And why were the Kanker sisters here? This is actually very strange for me because I actually like the Kanker sisters because they're very entertaining and I find it hilarious how fast they can escalate an episode. For example, the Key to My Ed episode. It starts off about the Eds wondering, oh, whose key is this? And then the episode ends on the Kanker sisters giving the Eds footsies. How do you go from wondering what key belongs to who to getting footsies by your least favorite enemies? It's ridiculous and I absolutely love it. I can see why people hate the Kankers, but they're funny and they do serve a purpose, and that's exposing the Eds for their scams or giving the characters karma for what they've done to other people. But what exactly is Eddy being punished for here? Being a jerk to the people who were already jerks to him in the first place? It just doesn't make any sense and it just feels so unfair. But then again, I don't think A Pinch to Grow in Ed is all bad. I'd give it a 6 out of 10 because the episode could have been way worse and it only gets bad in the last few minutes of the episode due to the Kanker sisters. Okay, let's move on to D tier, which includes the episodes of the season that I think are pretty boring and mediocre. This episode's okay, I don't have a lot to say about it. I feel the same way towards A Glass of Warm Ed too. It's okay, I don't have a lot to add. I feel the same way towards Full in the Ed. Wow, shocker. I liked seeing Rolf's clubs, and I found it funny how the Eds kept screwing up simple tasks, but that's all. Nagged to Ed is the first episode to feature the Kanker sisters, and they act pretty differently. They act less like bullies and more like people that genuinely like the Eds. But then again, they only had a crush on the Eds because they wanted them to do their chores for them, and to manipulate them. So, I don't really know about that. Anyway, there are a few funny jokes here, like Ed drinking a burger, but there's really not that much to know here. Okay, now we move on to C tier, where we start getting some above average episodes. These episodes aren't really notable or memorable, but they're nice to watch. I like seeing the Eds try to keep up with the times, only to get defeated by the cul-de-sac kids moving on to a new fad. It's really funny. I also liked seeing the new fads, like the Whiz-Waz hat. They're really creative. It was pretty cool to see the Eds trying to cut the lawn after putting way too much manure on the grass. With Victor being a lawnmower and Ed trying to find his sister, it was kind of adventurous and creative. I found it funny how far the Eds had to go just to convince everyone a lie that things were getting ruined by the Mucky Boys. But I just have one question. Why would Kevin believe Eddy's lie about the Mucky Boys? Isn't Kevin usually the one to catch on to Eddy's scam first? I found it ridiculously funny about the lengths that the Eds went through just to get a piece of egg, and it was nice to learn a little bit more about the Kankers' home life when they're not harassing the Eds, even if it only lasts for a few seconds. Ed being a stereotypical cool kid was pretty funny, with all his corny catchphrases and stuff. I also liked seeing hyperactive Double D, and the show featuring cool Ed, until the Kanker sisters come in and ruin everything for the Eds. I've noticed that season 1 and 2 have this problem, where whenever the Eds are just about to succeed scamming the cul-de-sac kids, the Kankers come in at the very end of the episode just to bully Ed, Edd, and Eddy. Thankfully, this stopped after season 2, so now every time the Kanker sisters make an appearance in an episode after season 2, it's usually about an episode that mainly focuses on them, and not just the Kankers showing up at the very end of the episode just to ruin everything. But I still like this episode, and at least it's not something like a pinch to grown Ed. Eddy hypnotizing people with his hat is pretty cool, and even though this is one of those episodes where the Kanker sisters come in at the very last second to ruin everything, it actually doesn't bother me like it does for other episodes like EVERY Ed or A Pinch to Grown Ed. I found it absolutely hilarious how Eddy couldn't hypnotize Lee simply because Lee's hair covers her eyes. I like the idea of the Eds starting their own clubhouse, and the building montage is really funny. But I wish we didn't get the part of the episode where the Kankers come in and ruin Eddy's clubhouse, because I really wanted to see what it was like inside of the clubhouse before the Kankers ruined it. But then again, Eddy did kind of deserve it for trying to scam the kids with things he obviously didn't have. Plus, the Eds trying to get back at the Kankers is pretty entertaining and funny. So, now that we're done with C tier, let's move on to B tier. B tier includes all of the season 1 episodes that I think are good, and that I revisit to every so often. This episode is pretty good, with the Eds trying to find out who's stealing everyone's items. My favorite part of the episode is where Eddy slaps Plank only to get splinters. It's so funny. In fact, that entire scene is funny. I love it. A thing I've noticed in Pop Goes the Ed is how smooth and clean the animation is. The same applies to Sir Ed-a-Lot in EVERY Ed. I just find it kind of weird how these episodes are the only episodes that are animated this way. Anyway, I liked seeing Naz's party, and everyone just having fun. Meanwhile, the Eds are butt naked because their Speedos were so tight, it literally popped off. Hey wait, I think I now just realized why this episode is called Pop Goes the Ed. Anyway, this is good. I find it interesting to see how Jimmy would handle life without Sarah, and it's funny to see Jimmy try to turn into a mean bully. I just find it kind of weird how Double D got creeped out by Sarah having a crush on him, because didn't Double D also have a crush on Sarah in the first episode too? I love any episode that mainly focuses on Rolf, because Rolf is my favorite character in Ed, Edd, and Eddy. I also liked seeing Eddy doing more and more insane things simply because he couldn't talk for himself. I loved seeing the horse race as well as seeing a bit more of Sarah and Jimmy. I also loved the ending where Sarah got karma and got locked in a cage as well. So since we're done with B tier, let's move on to A tier. A tier includes the episodes that I think are great and are even better than the B tier episodes. I like how far the Eds will go just to get some jawbreakers, and it was nice to see more of Kevin. I also like the classroom scene too, with it including this joke.
Now, what's the first thing you notice about Kevin here?
His chin is almost as big as yours?
No, I was trying to indicate the
Seeing the Eds using the junkyard as a hangout place is pretty weird, but knowing how creative they are, it does make sense. Ed being heroic simply because he watched a lot of horror movies was actually pretty cute, and he even managed to scare away the Kanker sisters. I also enjoyed the fighting scene too. I don't have a lot to add, but I like it. This is honestly in my favorites of season 1. I watch this one very often whenever I revisit the season. Sure, some people don't like it because of the fight with the Kankers, but that's exactly why I love it so much. It's also nice to see Eddy try to help Double D be more strong, even though the bullying that Double D got from Rolf and Kevin didn't really affect him too much. Also, the episode has this legendary line from Rolf too.
Your garden is overgrown and your cucumbers are soft.
Okay, so we're done with A tier. Now we're gonna move on to the last tier of the list, S tier. S tier is not a joke. S tier contains what I consider to be absolute masterpieces that come from season 1. They're not good or great. It's literally a masterpiece. The concept of Eddy having a pirate ship is actually really good. Sure, this is one of those episodes where the Kanker sisters come in to ruin everything, but they actually do it right this time. The Kanker sisters are given a cool gimmick, like being the enemy pirates. Plus, this is the first instance of Johnny attacking the Kanker sisters. I think Johnny is the one who successfully gets rid of the Kanker sisters the most, because he managed to literally fling the Kanker's trailer in home-cooked Edds, and he also managed to successfully fight the Kanker sisters in For the Ed by the Ed thanks to the help of playing. There are a lot of parts in this episode that I love, including Double D playing the instrument that he hates, and Ed somehow using his mouth to make the ship move faster, and Jimmy and Johnny locking the plank. The Eds taking embarrassing photos of the cul-de-sac kids for a calendar is pretty smart, and I like the whole thing with Kevin chasing the Eds. There are a lot of funny moments in here, including Rolf turning into a wiener and Plank going mad. Yeah, the Kanker sisters do appear here, but I think they actually have a good purpose in here, and it's to punish the Eds for taking embarrassing photos of the other kids. Besides, it was Eddy's fault anyway, because he tried to mess with the Kanker sisters. Here it is, the best episode in Season 1 of Ed, Edd, and Eddy. At first watch, I thought this episode wasn't that good due to the slow pacing and overall boring nature. But on second watch, I absolutely loved it. Joke after joke after joke. It's incredible. It's absolutely hilarious to see what happens when Eddy can't scam the cul-de-sac kids. He becomes so desperate, he starts gambling with squirrels. That's all I have to say about this episode, but I wish I had more to say because I love it so much. Season 1 of Ed, Edd, and Eddy is pretty good. It's not perfect, and there are way better seasons like Season 3 or Season 4, but it's still a really nice start for the show. My only complaint about this season is the overall slow pacing and the heavy reliance of using the Kanker sisters for the very last part of the episodes, but that's all I really have to say about it. By the way, sorry if my reviews for some episodes were pretty short. Anyways, bye guys, see you in another video.